Yeah, I think the background, the best place to start there is I felt right out of high school that I was going to spend my career, working career, serving the public in politics. Very patriotic, historical background from my family. And so I had this great love of history and really a great love of America. And then I also really admired men and women who served in public, served the greater good. And so that was the path. And so I was absolutely, crazy, maniacally focused on that. Oh, wow. And fast forward, get to the point where I'm now in my early 30s. I had built up the business resume and potentially in place to maybe run for office.
Oh, wow.
And the fire just kind of waned, the desire to be in politics through just all the things that were happening on the national scene, and felt like just really disenfranchised with that as a career. And so began to wrestle with, well, what are the things about public service that drew me in? Because I have to separate that from the distaste for the environment. And what I saw was a lack of leadership and a lot of hypocrisy. And so began to really examine that and realize that broadcasting, in the media, because I loved communicating, always loved to communicate. I was the kid that was always volunteering to do announcements at school and assemblies, and loved debate and speech class and all these things. And so as I began to wrestle with how do I use this love of communication and an ability to communicate, how do I use that to serve my fellow man, mankind? How do you do that? And so in walking through all of this is a long process. The short answer on that is I realized that, broadcasting for good, media for good is what I want to do. But that's just really nebulous and kind of scary. And what does that mean, And began the process of really looking into what would it take to be a broadcaster? Did I have the chops? Did I have the talent? And then what would the path look like? And so that's how I got to the place of being 33, starting my own business so that I would have the freedom, and spending about 2 years getting that going. So it was 31, about 2 years in, getting the business stable to where I, could absolutely spend some time on, kind of sticking my toe in the water of broadcasting. So about 33 when I started, and that led me to meeting Dave Ramsey, the third largest radio show in America, a Hall of Famer. Years later, met him, interviewed him, built a relationship there. Unbeknownst to me, he kind of stayed in touch and was watching what was going on.
Oh, interesting.
And then asked me to eventually join him. So all of that's the short version of, that's the background that led me to broadcasting, a lot of hustle. And that's what I love about what I'm doing right here today. That's what I love. You guys, you have a vision, and there's a mission that's attached to that vision. And I think that's really exciting. So that's what led me to all of the things I get to do with Dave Ramsey, a national platform where I can speak and write a book.
Yeah. And you just said that you didn't actually pursue your dream career of broadcasting until a little bit later. You said like your 30s.
Yeah, absolutely. Early 30s. And now this is important for people to understand because everybody's path is different. But I was pursuing what I absolutely believe was the dream, which was public service in politics. But the heart began to kind of redirect. And so maybe if I was pointing this direction, then it ultimately shifted over into a completely different field. But there was a lot of similarities, because if I was going to be in politics, I would want to use the ability to communicate, on behalf of people to make their lives better, give them opportunity. Well, now I'm over here in the media space, helping people figure out what they were created to do, and then helping them come up with a plan to get there. So you see the similarities there. But yes, absolutely a shift. And there were many times, Michelle, where I had tons of doubt, wondering if I'd lost my mind. Was this some sort of bad pizza moment that wouldn't stop? And as my wife, does she think I'm crazy? We had 3 kids, a mortgage, I'm running a business, and I'm 33 years old. And I had a lot of people say, man, listen, I think you've got some talent, but I don't know if you've got enough time. I don't know. It's late, man. You're 33. And listen, good meaning people trying to tell me the truth, trying to spare me the disappointment, but thankfully I didn't believe it. I didn't listen to it.
So pretty much you walked the walk.
I did.
Everything you talk about now, it comes from experience.
Yeah, the entire book, has a lot of my story in it. It's certainly not a biography, but it has a lot of my story in it, mainly the mistakes and the weaknesses. Not just the good things that I did, but the things that I did that maybe delayed the dream because I was so scared because I was overcome with doubt, because I had a lot of pride. Didn't want to ask anybody for help. I was just waiting for somebody to discover me. And, one of the things I reveal in the book is something I literally came up with beating myself up on my back patio one morning. Been in a season of rejection. Things weren't happening, really beginning to question so many things, and kind of having a pity party. And I'll never forget it. And I'm sitting there with a cup of coffee and a moleskin and a pencil, just writing my thoughts down. And I just got sick of feeling sorry for myself. And I had the thought enter my mind. I didn't say it out loud, but basically the thought came on my mind. Nobody is sitting around thinking about how they can help Ken Coleman. Nobody. Nobody in the world is sitting around going, how's that Ken Coleman? Boy, what a talented guy he is. I think he could be great on radio and television. I'm going to call him up. I mean, that's not happening. And by the way, it's not happening for any of us.
For anyone.
And it was in that moment that it was kind of a pick yourself up by your own, back of the neck, grab the shirt and say, hey man, you're going to have to make this happen. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to forge the path, build the platform, prove it yourself. So you better get after it. And so that was a key moment for me. So that's another story that I share in the book, that I want people to not get to that pity party.
Right.
No need to have a pity party. You don't need to ever get there. If you realize that you're going to have to make your own way. And by the way, that's the best way. Because when you make your own way, that's what allows us to truly be the best version of ourselves, to be us. You can certainly be influenced and inspired by other people's paths, but it's got to be your path.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the episode. If you're interested in contributing to the conversation and supporting the show, there's 2 easy things you can do. 1, click subscribe, and 2, visit our Patreon page where you get exclusive access to the Exploring Minds community.